My name is Dr. P.C.Patel, Chief Soil Health Specialist, Bhavnagar, and Professor, College of Agriculture, Parul University, Gujarat, India. So today the topic of YouTube is maintaining carbon-nitrogen ratio in soil for higher crop production and soil health. CN ratio. It is defined as the ratio of the weight of organic carbon to the weight of total nitrogen in a soil or organic matter. It is the relationship between organic matter and nitrogen content of soil or plants. Importance of CN ratio. CN ratio mainly controls decomposition rate in soil. The wide CN ratio leads to slow decomposition rate, nutrient immobilization may occur, carbon and energy wastage in large quantity. So wider CN ratio is not desirable for decomposition because there is a slow decomposition rate. Activity of microorganisms restricted total amount nitrogen is limited. In narrow CN ratio, carbon and energy starvation occur. Plant residue decompose quickly and release nitrate readily. Amount of carbon dioxide released unit of carbon decompose less or more of it is metabolized and converted into microbial tissue. So here mineralization nitrogen is released for plant uptake. So when there is a narrow ratio, CN ratio, then mineralization occurs. And when there is a wider CN ratio in crop residue, like grasses, straw, wither meal, grasses, straw, corn stalk, etc. So when the wider ratio, then immobilization occurs and microbe utilize and tie up nitrogen. So 24:1 CN ratio desirable for the better health of the soil. So carbon nitrogen ratio effect on composting. So when the narrow CN ratio, then decomposition rate is faster. When there is a higher CN ratio, then it requires more time. So ideal microbial diet is CN ratio 24:1. So you can see that in straw, the ratio is wider, whereas in legume, like cowpea, alfalfa, veg, and in microbe, the CN ratio is 8:1. To acquire the carbon nitrogen, a soil microorganism needs to stay alive. It needs a diet with CN ratio near 24:1, with 16 parts of carbon used for energy and 8 parts for maintenance. It is this CN ratio, 24:1, thus rule the soil. So the ideal CN ratio is 24:1. How do you maintain carbon nitrogen ratio? Scientists have determined that the fastest way to produce fertile, sweet-smelling compost is to maintain CN ratio somewhere around 25 to 30 parts carbon to 1 part nitrogen, or 25 to 30 is equal to into 1. The ideal CN ratio for composting is generally considered to be around 30:1 or 30 parts carbon or each part nitrogen by weight. So CN ratio is one of the most important parameters which affects soil behavior, crop yield, and mineralization process. So here you can see that nitrogen immobilization and nitrogen mineralization. So 25:1 is a ideal CN ratio. So high CN added immobilization of nitrogen. Nitrate depression until all the carbon is gone and activity drops and microbe die. So nitrogen mineralization, low CN ratio added. So legume crop have the low CN ratio. So nitrogen is present to meet the microbial need. Thus, do not immobilize nitrogen. So When there is a low CN ratio, 24:1 or lower, then microbe get the energy and there is no immobilization of the nitrogen. So significance of carbon nitrogen ratio is arable soil is 10:1, whereas ratio in plant material is variable, ranging from 20:1 to 30:1 legume farm manure. So in legume it is 20:1, but in farm manure it is 31:2. This range is US as high as 100:1 in straw, crop straw, paddy straw, wheat straw, maize straw. So microbe 10:1, the CN ratio in soil organic matter is important for two major reasons. In computation for available nitrogen results when the residue having a high CN ratio are added to soil. And because this ratio is relatively constant in soil, the maintenance of carbon and hence soil organic matter is dependent on soil nitrogen level. So when the ratio is wider, CN ratio, then slow decomposition. When the ratio is 25:1 or narrow, then fast decomposition and nitrogen is released, means mineralization. Whereas in slow decomposition means nitrogen immobilization. The ratio 24:1 is the proper carbon and nitrogen that a microorganism must have in order to sustain soil health. The ratio 24:1 is the proper carbon and nitrogen that microorganism must have in order to sustain its health. A microorganism living in the soil has a CN ratio of about 8:1. So microorganisms have CN ratio is 8:1. This is what they must maintain in their bodies. Farmer can manage to supply the ideal CN ratio of 24:1. The better we are at maximizing the opportunity for those microbes to process and release nutrients our cash crop can use. Simply manage for diversity of plant species, reduce tillage as much as possible, and you will certainly provide a better opportunity for long-term soil health benefit. So we have to grow the diversity of the crop, like cereal crop, legume crop, pulses crop, and oilseed. Then reduce the tillage system as much as possible, and you will certainly provide a better opportunity for long-term soil health benefit. Therefore, it is important to pay attention to crop residue, CN ratio, to maintain soil cover when desired, yet allow the cover to ultimately break down and be recycled. Providing quality biohabitat for soil microorganisms should be the goal of producers interested in improving soil health. Soil is a biological system that functions only as well as the organism that inhabit it. So influence of carbon-nitrogen ratio on nitrogen release. So that we have discussed. So in legume crop, like alfalfa or lucerne, then the ratio is 20:1. But in straw, maize straw, rice straw, then rice straw, the CN ratio is wider. Why carbon-nitrogen CN ratio is less than 20:1 is ideal for manure? So CN ratio of higher than 20:1 means it is poor in nitrogen and rich in organic carbon. When we apply manure, it will undergo microbial decomposition before nutrients become available to plant. While decomposing, the microbe will consume both carbon and nitrogen into their body for their own growth. Microbes have their own biomass CN ratio. The real CN ratio of bacteria, fungi, and actinomyces range from 5:1 to 10:1. Now, if applied manure is poor in nitrogen, say nitrogen ratio greater than 20:1, so the microbe will immobilize soil nitrogen if not found in the substrate into their body in order to maintain their own CN ratio, and subsequently the standing crop, if any, will suffer from nitrogen deficiency. So the microorganism take the nitrogen from the soil. So when the crop is standing, then the crop suffer from nitrogen deficiency. So at that time, we have to apply the booster dose from 15 to 20 kg nitrogen per hectare. Then crop growth will be improved. So soil microbial CN ratio is a robust indicator of soil productivity for paddy fields. So maintaining good productivity in rice is important for global food security. Numerous methods have been developed to evaluate paddy soil productivity, most based on soil physicochemical properties and relatively few on biological indices. Here we use a long-term data set from experiments on paddy field at 8 country sites and a short-term data set from a single field experiment in southern China, and aim a quantifying relationship between paddy soil productivity and the ratio of carbon to nutrient and N/P in soil microbial biomass. So in the long-term data set, soil microbial biomass variable generally showed stronger correlation with the relative paddy soil productivity compared to soil chemical properties. In treatments of the short-term experiment, soil amendment with biochar lower soil microbial biomass, CN, and improve paddy crop productivity, while incorporation of rice straw increase soil microbial biomass, CN, and reduce paddy soil productivity. So we conclude that soil microbial biomass CN ratio does not only indicate paddy soil productivity, but also help to identify management practices that improve paddy soil productivity. So in this experiment, biochar is more responsive as compared to rice straw for increasing the crop productivity of the rice or paddy. So crop residue. So our optimum CN ratio is 20:4 for desirable decomposition of our crop residue. When the residue with high CN ratio is added to soil, there will be intense competition among the microorganisms for available nitrogen. So we have discussed this. So crop residue, the CN ratio is also used to indicate the type of material and ease of decomposition. Hard woody material with a high CN ratio being more resilient than soft leafy material with a low CN ratio. While organic manure with a low CN ratio, slurries provide the most nutrient in the first year of application. Manure with a high CN ratio, farmyard manure, and release nutrient to a lesser extent but over a longer period. So in vermicompost, the CN ratio is narrower as compared to farmyard manure. So when we are applying the vermicompost, then we are getting the more response in the first year of application. So crop residue decomposition and management. So there is a great variability in CN ratio of the CR. We determine the rate of decomposition and release nutrients. So adverse effect of wheat straw incorporation can be averted by incorporating both green manure having narrow CN ratio and cereal straw having wider CN ratio into the soil before rice transplanting. So when we add the wheat straw, then we have also incorporated both green manuring having narrow CN ratio, like Sonham or Bencha. So crop residue decomposition and management. When a cereal straw is added in soil, growth of crop decline because cereal straw has a wider CN ratio. This is attributed to several factors. Added straw fixes nitrogen during early stage of decomposition of soluble carbohydrate, resulting in nitrogen deficiency to the subsequent crop. Inorganic nitrogen should be added to promote decomposition of straw in time. So I have mentioned that you have to apply the booster dose 20 to 25 kg nitrogen per hectare. So crop growth cannot be reduced. So added nitrogen enhances the rate of decomposition measured in terms of carbon dioxide production and loss of total carbon from soil. So I told that application of 15 to 20 kg nitrogen per hectare as a starter dose with straw incorporation increase yield of weight and rice compared to either burning of straw or it incorporation in the soil. Therefore, a higher dose of urea nitrogen application with rice straw incorporation necessary to get good yield. So when we are add the rice straw in a paddy crop, then we should have to apply higher dose of nitrogen. So thank you very much. If you like my video, then please subscribe. Thank you very much.